Welcome to Talk of the Town, proudly brought to you by Uniquely Nelson. I'm your host, Chris Butler, and with me, once again, General Manager of Uniquely Nelson, Simon Duffy. Good to have you here, mate.
Good to be here. Good to see you, Mark.
And well, where have you got us now?
Yeah, budget cuts, no heating.
We're in the Antarctic down here.
Well, I'm very warm because we had to carry the tables up. But yeah, I just thought we'd maybe just be in an office and Mark said, I've seen your backdrop, so I'm going to top it.
Yeah.
There's no meerkats here. That was a
No.
No, there's no meerkats. No, that's right. Well, not that we know of.
660 down there, but no, not today.
No, live performance.
That was a good concert there.
Yeah.
Well, we should introduce Mark Mekalick from CLM. Nice to have you here, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Fantastic backdrop, and he's found a posse for us. But I feel a bit like in the commentary team at the basketball.
This is where the commentary hangs out.
Sometimes they have.
Oh, do they have they up here?
Happens up here. Yeah.
Awesome.
VIP, I reckon, would be a good spot too.
Yeah, actually, it would make a
next,
good corporate box, wouldn't it? Put our name on it. First of all, Mark, before we get into all things Trafalgar Centre, can you tell us a little bit about your background and where do you originally hail from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Taranaki hardcore. I did all my schooling there, grew up in Taranaki, in mostly central Taranaki, Eltham and Stratford, under the mountain.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Awesome.
Then after high school, I decided I wasn't quite ready for university, so I did a small stint at the freezing works for a year. Had a bit of a gap year, but it was a great year. Taught me lots of work ethic there, which was great. Life skills, yep. Packing offal, so it was great. Yeah. And then after that, I went off to university at Massey in Palmerston North. Yep. So there I studied a Bachelor of Sport Management. I grew up loving sport. So I thought that was where I wanted to land myself, was in the sport industry. Kind of there, kind of not a little bit, I guess, in terms of running entertainment venues. Then after I completed my degree, took a little bit of the long road with the degree, had a bit of fun and a good time, but we ended up with the piece of paper. It was great. Then I was lucky enough to work in Hawera in South Taranaki. TSB Hub was the facility there. It was a brand new open there. The region had a $24 million sport event and conference facility open. So I landed myself there, started right at the bottom there, I guess, from cleaning the windows and, getting your apprenticeship, I guess.
The day-to-day stuff.
Yep, that's right. But I mean, that's great. You learn what it takes to run a facility from start at the bottom. It really helped. So, and that was a fantastic facility. I was there for about 7 years. After the 7 years there, started looking for the next thing, and then now here we are in Nelson. And it's actually, I remember when I was leaving that job, I was thinking, 7 years was a pretty good stint there. And actually, here I am now, coming up 7 years.
Oh, is that right?
And now at the Trafalgar Centre with CLM. So yeah, it's flying by, but absolutely loving it. Yeah.
So so sport's a big part of your life.
Yep.
Has this always been, say, your main career? It's always been sort of events, sporting facilities.
Yeah, so I guess the bar that brief spell of packing offal and McDonald's at university, but let's not call them our main careers. They were. It has been. I mean, sport was a massive passion for me. So I played a lot of sport growing up. To be honest, I probably felt myself more probably not landing in the facility side of things. I guess, we do a range of different things in terms of conferences, seminars, meetings, expos, a lot of non-sport related stuff in our facilities as well. But, the multi-use of these spaces is what makes them, great. So I always thought that I'd probably end up more, with a regional sports trust, a national sporting body, actually working inside the sports. Which would have been great. But then I guess, like I just said, we ended up in the facility in Hawera, and I guess, fresh out of university, you're looking for your first step. And, the first step essentially was in venue and facility management. But I guess, as much as I talk about that passion I had for sport and, really enjoying being involved in the different sports, I also have a massive love music, Love things sort of all live entertainment as
Yeah.
well. Always love that sort of stuff. I remember, from a 16, 17-year-old going to the big day outs with my dad and friends. So, it was, that was something that I loved as well, and going to different concerts. And
So you needed quite a bit of supervision. Take your dad with you.
yeah, it is
Makes
safe.
things a lot out of control.
It is very safe. Well, I don't know how much of a safe influence he was at times. That's a different
Who's
story.
looking after
That's a
who?
different story. Maybe he was the one
Yeah.
that needed the supervision.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess now landing in the field that I'm in terms, sport still plays a huge part of what I do in terms of, we have the top of the South gymnastics competition here annually. Obviously the 10 home Giants games a year, so work a lot, with Mike Fitchett and the team at the Giants on delivering their events. We have the cheerleading here as well. So I guess, that's one of the things that I love about it, is that it ticks so many of those so many of those things, not just the sport that I grew up loving and wanting to be involved with, but also getting to be part of the concerts, the expos, all those shows, all those sorts of things.
It's a good mix.
It is, it's great. Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes it doesn't feel like work. Sometimes it feels like
Good.
fun.
So there's a day game versus Canterbury very soon, and
Yes.
I was looking at the schedule.
Yep.
There's another Sunday afternoon against Taranaki,
Oh no.
and we're spoken to Roo at Brook Sanctuary,
Yep.
who's a Taranaki
Right.
man. Now I think there was another guy too I spoke to recently. So what happens there?
Yep. Can I say? Or am I going to be in trouble?
Yeah, go on, get it.
No, look, hey, it's a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Look, I have to say that I'm a Taranaki fan.
Oh, there you go.
On those occasions. So I'd say for every other game.
I might have got that wrong. Roo might be Hawke's Bay. I think he might be a Magpie. He's definitely a Magpie.
Every
Yes, I
other
asked him the
Marco
same.
game, they've got my full support.
Right,
but I'm
but
sorry,
when it comes to the Bulls.
or the finals last year, I can't remember which way that went. Maybe.
Yeah.
Ooh, he's putting a dig in there.
And talk about it. There you go.
So tell us about the connection to Nelson. How did you arrive in the city and then end up with this position at CLM?
Yeah, so I was, like I said, I was at 7 years in Hawera, and I guess I started looking for, as you do, started looking for your next steps. It probably wasn't Nelson, to be honest, where I saw myself landing. I always thought maybe something like a Wellington or a Christchurch was probably, but that's more around where the opportunities are, right? That's not saying that I didn't want to come to Nelson. I just thought that that's where the next steps were going to be. But then this job came out. So the job of being the venue manager for Trafalgar Centre and Trafalgar Park, as it was then, came up through CLM when CLM was successful in the venue management contract with Nelson City Council. So obviously I put my name in the hat for that, and here we are, was successful. But in saying that, there was, I guess, a little bit of wider meaning to it as well. It wasn't just moving to Nelson because there was a great opportunity here for a job. It was also my wife's family are from here as well. So it wasn't an easy sell to my wife when it said, "Hey, look, there's a job coming up. I might apply for it. It's in Nelson." So there was, my wife grew up here, and then she moved away, and her parents and my in-laws here and live in Nelson as well. So it was, although it wasn't the Wellington, the Christchurch, we've absolutely loved being here in Nelson. So that kind of, originally the role brought me here, but it was also a great fit.
He didn't really have a choice.
With family here.
The role of Nelson, right or wrong?
And you got a young family.
We do have a young family.
Right,
we've got a 4-year-old daughter who.
Nice.
And having that support network, as anyone who our parents know, you know, if we were in a Wellington or a Christchurch without that support network, having that support network.
Well, and that's a common theme, because when we talk about, settling in Nelson, one of the ticks of Nelson is, a place to bring up kids,
Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah, so that's a plus.
That's right. And in terms of the CLM, how did I end up here with CLM? One, I guess I had the role, but two, I enjoyed the place of work I was before here and working for the South Taranaki District Council. It was a great place to work. So, those were sort of values that I asked a lot of questions about too when moving here. So, when I had a little bit of a look into CLM and who they were and what they did, their values really aligned with my values in terms of, fun, quality, continuous improvement, respect, innovation, like those are the 5 key values of CLM, and something that,
Same ethos.
it wasn't just jumping into a job and take the first job. It was also, quite considered as well. And, seeing that a company that had those values as well was something that drew me, to this role as well, not just, I guess, accepting the role.
Yeah. And it's been quite a challenge in the last few years, 3 or 4 years, especially in the event space. How are you finding things at the moment with events?
Yeah, I guess wasn't it weird? I talk about it with people recently, and thinking back to some of the restrictions we operate on, I said we'll look back in 10, 20 years time and go, what on earth was that? We had bubbles and 50 people over here, and these people can come, these can't come. So yeah, look, it was a challenging time and didn't really represent what events were about, right? Having fun. It was, a little bit sterile, but those were the times we were in, and things we had to do to get by. So I'm confident we can stop talking about COVID in terms of events. That's gone, that's done. I feel we're probably now, in terms of the event space, back to pre-COVID levels. Obviously now new challenges.
Yeah.
But I feel that we're back, and in terms of Nelson too. It was a tough time, but I think there was not many, but there were some things to take away from. Some positives come from it. It's hard to believe, but there were a couple of things. I think we worked with a couple of promoters or event content owners through COVID when you couldn't bring in international talent. You had to. We were based to put national and regional talent on the map. So we worked with a lot of promoters who we might not normally work with. So that kind of got us that, all right, Nelson's a good place to come and bring a show. So, and our relationships now that we've built, and we work with regularly to try and bring more events to Nelson. So, there wasn't a lot of good things that came out of it. But, that was certainly one thing. And I guess also in terms of, we really put local and national talent on the map too. The world was looking at New Zealand and going, look at a sold out Eden Park.
Yes,
no one was doing that, and blast some of those artists out to, which was fantastic for, I guess, the wider industry.
So you mentioned just at the tail end or halfway through about these other struggles. What would they be? Is more regulation, more? Yeah,
there is a lot of that. One of the biggest one obviously now is the cost. We're all feeling the pinch at the moment. And I guess one thing that we have to understand too in this industry is that if we put ticket prices up for events, people aren't going to come. But if you look at, say, the cost of delivering an event, the costs have gone up massively. I mean, just in the time that I've been here and seen events that we put through here, the cost of, with inflation, with everything coming up, the cost, but the ticket price is very difficult to put up, because if you start putting that ticket price up too much, then you get, so it's, I think that's probably our biggest challenge at the moment.
And also, discretionary spend, isn't it? That was an issue with the All Black test in Wellington, and can people do 2 tests or just one, and, very noticeable, with that crowd, that it was very light. I'd imagine Auckland will be a sellout, but, it's a crucial match. Probably it's the team they're playing too, although they tipped up the All Blacks. But, it's that discretionary spend. And when you take the kids out, what do you got to spend, and what's left over at the end of the week to be able to take people out?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's a risk, it's a risky business. People, if you put on a show here that costs a lot and you don't get those crowds, it can cost millions to recover those costs. So, it is a risky business.
Tell us about the Trafalgar Centre, because the hangar's been around for many a day. I don't actually know what the original concept of it was, whether it was more just for sports and recreation, or whether they did have an idea that you could do concerts. One of the complaints with concerts was they had to bring in their own gear, and the other aspect was the acoustics. Then obviously earthquake strengthening. And then we've had COVID, but geez, when you look at it now, it's the beams look fantastic. They've been there forever and a day, but I don't know whether they've been re-strengthened, but presumably the metal beams have. They've certainly had a nice varnish. The floor looks fantastic. And of course we've got the ceiling, and it looks as though some measures towards acoustics. It just looks in really, really good nick. So can you tell us about that development and the feedback you're getting now?
Yeah, I guess remembering I wasn't here through a lot of that, not being a Nelson person
right,
originally.
yeah.
So I guess any of the background is stuff that I just hear. But being here for the last 7 years, I can definitely speak to what's happening now and what's happened. Interestingly, last year was the 50-year anniversary of the Trafalgar Centre. So we did a few things at a Nelson Giants game to celebrate the 50 year, and it felt fitting doing it at a Giants game. They've been here for 42 of those years. So, having them as part of the celebration and doing that at a Giants game felt really good. But yeah, no, a lot of work has been done and it has lifted. I mean, it's from what I understand, and I've had meetings and shown people around who were part of that original group who did champion the Trafalgar Centre. It was so cool to show them around and show them some of the things we were doing, which was great. From the vision they had, and also cool to see we got given some documents from that 50th birthday. From when they opened it. So we got it given the invites and the ceremony and some information from that, which was just cool things to have a read now 50 years later. And the thing that really caught me was the vision that they had then was very much similar to the vision that we have now for the facility in terms of being the place in Nelson where people come to enjoy life, enjoy events, enjoy activity for the community, being that space for them, which was very key to them 50 years is what we believe in now, bringing a space for people to come and have a great time. But yeah, in terms of the acoustics, yep, you are right. Fully acoustically lined now, which is great. And I normally do try and, if I can catch up with an artist or an agent or a promoter at some stage, just to get their feeling on how everything went here. We're well and truly getting ourselves on that map.
And more gear too, so that when people turn up, instead of having to bring it up on trucks from Christchurch or whatever, you can say, well, actually, we've got that. We've got lighting rigs and so on and so forth.
There's an element of stuff that will always need a tour with an event, and that's fine. But we have taken away a big amount of the barriers here. I mean, we recently just did a lighting project to bring our lights up to broadcast standards. So they were just a little bit behind for the super slow-mos for Sky. So we've just recently done a project to bring that lighting up. So it's just taking away those barriers to go, we go to Nelson, it's hard work. We have to, like you said, bring all this. But now that we've got all the stuff that you need and the rest of the stuff that you would, or a hire would expect to tour with an event to bring in. So yeah, 100% right. Everything is here, and the feedback we're getting on that has been fantastic. One of the promoters, wrote something for us recently that said, that Nelson is well and truly back on the tour map, and the Trafalgar Centre is part of that. So that's
nice.
Really cool to hear, and that's a credit to all the people over all those 50 years that have put in the work
to got it to where it is today.
To bring it up to where it is today.
So running enterprise like this, what would you see? I was going to say, what is your main challenge, or what are the challenges besides what's been happening in the last 3 or 4 years? What do you think, Mark, are the main challenges of running an event?
So definitely talked about the finances, which we've touched on. One of our things which we can't fix, unfortunately, is our geographic location. When someone will put an event plan on, and quite often an event will tour, or even for people to come to Nelson, we're not on that main road down the west coast. That just we're not from Blenheim or Westport. We are that that nice that drive. So we do we definitely touch those audiences for larger events. But in terms of anything else, with that 5-hour drive from here, from there, from everywhere,
we're not on main trunk line.
We're not on that main line. That's right. So I mean, look, that's nothing that anyone can fix. So we just try and find ways of how we can make those transitions as easy as possible for people. I think that's probably our biggest one. Our low one, and I guess if I could stress to everyone watching this, is that everyone could make my job a whole lot easier by coming to events. I know, we talked about finances, and everyone's financial position at the moment is tough, but if the more that people can come and support events that we hold, the easier it makes my job to say to hires and promoters, go, hey, look, we sold out this, we sold out this, we sold out this, we sold out this. And people start going, great. Let's go to Nelson, because we know that we can go. So, even if you're mildly interested in an event, or you don't very often come to an event and not have a good time. So even if it's getting a group of mates together to come to something, I'd say that's because once we start having low numbers, then it's harder for us to say, or to people go, hey, come to Nelson, it's a great place to bring your event, and they go, hey, well, you didn't sell that many tickets last time, so we'll pass on that. So that's probably one of our biggest things, is getting people to the venues and out, and
So I've got two questions. One is actually day to day what you do, but from your role, and correct me if I'm wrong, Trafalgar Centre is one of them, but actually CLM and your role is actually not just Trafalgar Centre. You have other venues that you've got to take care of. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So part of the contracts that we have with council, we have Trafalgar Centre, we have Trafalgar Park, we have Waka Puaka Hall, we have Trafalgar Street Hall, we have Putangitangi Green Meadows, we have Saxton Oval, and we have Saxton Field, the wider Saxton Field, especially Saxton
and that was just a
Stadium.
recent
And that
development.
was just
wasn't it?
recently, yeah. So my role in that is essentially to oversee those things. So we have a fantastic team here who put everything together. And so I guess my job, I see, is to make sure we're all going in the right direction, but also one of the things that probably enjoy the most about the job is working with people nationally, locally, to try and activate the space so that we've got things coming into Nelson. So I do a lot of work, talking to people, finding out what they've got on, sometimes trying to find crafty deals on how we can make something happen. I just talked about Nelson being difficult to come. So how can we remove those barriers to try and get people to come here? So that's something that I really enjoy, working with those content owners, and trying to get them here to Nelson, or sell it to them to say, hey, this is why you should come to Nelson. And I guess it's a great thing now with that range of facilities, and so we can go, this one could work at Trafalgar Centre. Oh, we've also got Saxton Oval. We could look at that here, or we could look at that there.
With the announcement of Saxton Field, you get some keyboard warriors are saying, why are we, handing this out to third parties, and, will they be the best for us, and so on and so forth. But I was just thinking then, CLM, they are a national body, aren't they? So presumably with other venues around the country, they're talking to promoters that have national tours and what have you. So is part of the benefit that they say, hey, don't forget Nelson, or?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess even though CLM is a national company, but I'd say probably don't look past the fact that Nelson's really one of the strongholds for CLM. So we have we've been in Nelson for over 20 years across Richmond Aquatic Centre, Nayland Park Pool, Riverside Pool, before we started looking after these venues as well. So
interesting. Yeah.
So yes, our head office is in Auckland, but the people within the organisation are very proud of our roots within Nelson, and obviously we're all Nelson people running them as well. We just report through to a company in Auckland as well.
So Mark, can you spare time? I take it you got spare time.
Lots.
It's a lot of venues, and well done on the Saxton, because that's just in the last couple of weeks, isn't it?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, great, and that is a great facility.
Absolutely.
What do you do to enjoy yourself outside work?
So we talked about my enjoyment of sport. So I play football. Absolutely love my football. I'm a bit of a tragic and a poor Tottenham Hotspurs supporter at the moment. So looking forward to the start of the Premier League season starting. Yeah, so that's great. I've dabbled in a bit of cricket as well through growing up. Recently have thrown in the cricket though. My knees have got a bit too dodgy for that, and so recently we purchased a boat. So fishing has taken up a big part of my fishing has taken up a big part of my summer now, which I've always loved fishing growing up too.
What sort of boat you got?
We've just got a Haynes Hunter. Yeah, so we jump out
15, 18.
One of those. Yeah. feet meters.
Yeah,
it's probably about 5.5 meters. Yeah.
Okay.
But it gets us out, and the fishery is fantastic in Tasman. People always talk about, I guess, our one in Taranaki, which was also great, but I love going out there and doing that. Obviously got a young family, so obviously With the amount of time that we spend here at work, and we can do some pretty antisocial hours in the event industry. That I do try my best to spend as much time with family as well, because that's important. And much to probably their disgust, I also don't hate a DIY project at home as well. So. So I love, love a chainsaw.
Doesn't even fix, honey?
Love a chainsaw.
Yes, it does.
With
the concrete mixer.
When is that being finished? Soon.
Never give a man a chainsaw and a concrete mixer. It just keeps on coming.
I think we should. We should have them as much as often.
Yeah.
My wife wouldn't.
Do you for sure wear all year round?
No, I don't. No,
it's seasonal, eh?
Yeah. I mean, you can, but yeah.
Well, next summer we have to go out. I got a 4-meter jet ski, a fish boat.
Let's do it.
You put 16 rods on, 6 rods on the back. 6 rods on the back. And it's got the old chin.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones. But it's an explorer. You can go way out.
Yeah, sounds great.
Cool.
Sorry, you didn't mention what club you played for?
I play, so football was with Nelson Suburbs. Big shout out to the.
So is that the
Seal.
boys, the Williams boys? Is it
no,
that
no, it's not. So it's with the Seals.
Oh, yes,
so we
the
just
Seals.
wrapped up the second division, which was a
right.
great season for us. Yeah,
What do you mean just the Seals? You got something to say there?
Seals.
Butler?
No. Well, you see the Williams
guys
boys
might
at
know,
the back,
you know.
Howie and those boys, they've got. They call themselves the A team. Like, what are they? Third division, I think.
Yeah.
Third or fourth.
Yeah.
The Seals, actually, I'd have to say, and Howie will take me down for this, but slightly more skilled players, you'd have to say.
There's a few in our team who are very skilled. Yeah, I probably not that so much, but
but
a good team, man.
It's the lads where the knees have gone, and they're not. They aspire to be what they used to be, but they limp a bit.
They limp.
Yeah.
All right, and we'll be doing the editing on this later on.
No, they're a good side. They're often made up of mainland football players, and and actually that second division, that's very competitive actually. So I'm surprised that the knees are holding out for that. So
just
okay. So you are a big part. I mean, often the question we ask is about living, operating, working in the heart of Nelson City. Geez, you're a big part of the city offering. So tell us what you like about the Nelson City vibe, but also, as you will be fully aware, because we had a seminar right here, revitalisation, development. What would you like to see?
Yeah, interesting. When I also talk about we were looking back over those 50-year stuff. One of the catchphrases, or I guess the marketing campaign for the Trafalgar Centre back those, I guess, plus 50 years ago, when they were talking about building it, or looking at building it, was about Trafalgar Centre being the heart of the city. And I guess kind of also metaphorically, but also the shape of it is not that far off now with the new extension there. And so again, that just made me when I was reading those things, going what a cool thing. The heart of the city. That's kind of how we do see ourselves, is that we're one of our positives is the venue is smack bang in the middle of the city, which makes access and everything everything great. But then also the benefit to the city for the things that we do. So I 100%, and I went to that seminar and I left that feeling, really encouraged that there was some cool things to come in Nelson in the next few years. So it was great. And I do feel that we have a massive responsibility in that too. And you talked about vibrancy. That's 100% the word I use too. I guess I'd look at it in a couple of aspects, and it's something that I kind of take quite a lot of responsibility, myself for as well, is going that every event that we can have helps make Nelson a great place to live, because people, one, they love living here, because there's fun things to do, great events to attend. So, there's the social vibrancy around having these things, but then there's also the financial benefits of those things that we put on. We know years ago the benefit to the city when Bay Dreams was at its peak and coming through now. So we just know the benefit to the CBD. To so many business in town because of that. And that's also same on a smaller than Bay Dreams extent. We know that we had 660 here, which was great. But even in 3 weeks of that, we had Kaylee Bell, we had Dragon and Hello Sailor, and then we had 660 all within about 3 weeks of us. And I have no doubt that before coming to those shows, people were going out for dinner. They were going into the CBD for somewhere to drink. So we feel quite like I said, the responsibility of making those things happen so that we can help with that vibrancy for the city. So that's definitely in a lot of my thinking when we do things. We're trying to bring events here. Sometimes I'll even take the money out of it, and might not be a great business model, but so in my thinking will be is that this is great for Nelson and the people of Nelson. If we take a little bit of a hit here, but we're able to produce something that's fantastic for Nelson, we know that it'll help the CBD, it'll help the hospitality, it'll help everyone. We know that people will love living here, accommodation. Then that's just great. In terms of I'd say looking forward, things that we'd like to see. I guess if I put my events hat on, I always want to see more. I mean, I try and think proactively and not think of the barriers we have in front of us, and try and think of the things we can do. I've got a vision of building a stage somewhere that will stay up all summer long, so that I can then, stage is a big cost for, say, an outdoor event, where I could build a stage, find funding for a stage to build it, have it there summer wide, and then be able to go to promoters or concert owners and everything and say, hey, look, this stage is here. Half the cost is one. I'm going to have it here from December through to March. What have you got? Come here and have it. So, just trying to take away some of those barriers for people.
Cool. So, from a marketing perspective, how do you get the word out round to other regions? Do you do that yourselves, or how does that work?
It's been a lot of networking. I'm such a people person, and I guess give someone a call and say, hey, what have you got on? I guess sometimes things don't happen as organically as we'd like. So when I just could give I guess through the years of being here and been before, I've built a network of people who own, who are those promoters, event owners, or, people that are doing things, to be able to go, talk to them regularly and go, what's going on. I'm also very lucky to sit on the Entertainment Venues Association Board of New Zealand.
Oh, okay, right.
So through that, we've got EVANS, that's the sort of membership association for all venues across the country. So that's from stadia, arena, theatres, performing arts centres, smaller community centres. So I guess through the work I do with that organisation as well, it also gives me, I guess, good connections into the wider event industry to be able to, have those conversations with people. And I guess one of the things I like to do is obviously champion Nelson, but also champion the regions as well, the other regions as well, and go, how can we, lift the profile? Because there's so much to offer in the regions as well as the big cities.
Very good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, appreciate you lending us the Trafalgar Centre for this podcast. I've sent Simon the bill so he can take care of that just after that. The catering was included, eh?
Yeah.
I said it'd be a smaller bill because the heating wasn't on. I haven't been catered for.
No. Mark and I, just before you came, we sorted that out. So really appreciate you coming and giving us some insight into what's happening. And gee, it's just looking fantastic. And from your perspective, busy as ever.
Absolutely.
I mean, forward bookings looking good. I always ask you about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you do. Yeah. But I mean, now we're going through a little bit of our quieter time, but that's fine. Like, we've got to have some time to do some maintenance, right, and keep this place looking good. So, our servicing and annual maintenance, that all gets done in this time. But I would say normally from now, I would say between, March to August next year, we probably would struggle to take a booking.
Wow.
We start, so that's how far out we're working. I mean, we're taking bookings to 2026, 2027, and we have some, and hopefully in the next couple of maybe month or so, I should be announcing some pretty exciting shows that I think are going to be fantastic. So there's a little carrot for you as well.
Great.
Keep an eye out for it.
Can I say what I heard?
No.
Okay, can I say Coldplay? I couldn't say Coldplay. They'll be playing for 18 nights to get through.
Is this still, you're not getting over the cold here?
Yeah, that's right. All right. Hey, thanks very much. Appreciate your time, mate, and all the best for the future.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
A heartfelt thank you to Mark and the team from the Trafalgar Centre. You can find this podcast along with others at uniquelynelson.co.nz and also talknelson.co.nz, and now on Spotify, Uniquely Nelson Spotify.
Hey.
In actual fact,
Yep.
thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to join us next time for more from Talk of the Town. This is Chris Butler and Simon Duffy signing off. Until next time, Nelson.
Stay uniquely eventful.
Stay unique, Nelson.